right, welcome to another episode of Craig Mack's Chasing Success. I'm your host, Craig Mack, and the young man that you are seeing on the screen with me right now is my mini-me. He is my son, Faison. Faison, say hello to the crowd.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
All right. The reason why I decided to bring Faison on the show is because Faison is a success story. I'm not just saying that as a parent, but I think as I have him take you through his story, you'll agree that he is a success story, all on his own. And I'm just his proud parent, to be able to bring this to the audience. So, Faison, first of all, let's pick up your life when you were entering New Mexico State University. Now, you earned a full ride in football, right? Where I didn't have to pay anything, right? No
Yep,
books,
yep.
housing, meals, whatever. So
hmm
take us to that point in your life and then take it from there.
First things first, I just want to say that I was real fortunate and blessed. We already know I was offered a lot of opportunities that a lot of people don't, and I definitely had some angels above help me through this entire journey up until this point and even to the future. So I just want to first start. There's some things that happened that were beyond my control, but I definitely had the gift when I was chosen. Yeah, so we could start off with us making a decision really to move to Dallas, right? I mean, that's really
Okay.
what sparked. That's what sparked it all. Was a big basketball player before. Tried to play basketball in Texas, and that's not. They quickly told me I'm a little too big for basketball. So I had the fortunate opportunity to have a mentor, Coach Fricky, who pretty much put me under his wing to
Mm,
play ball. He chased me through the auditorium during lunch and would not leave me alone and said, "You just got to come try it out." So played about, I don't know, about a year of spring ball and one full season my senior year. Spring ball helped me. Frisco has an indoor football facility, so it made it real easy in a controlled environment to kind of get it down. And we used a lot of technology to help me really get the sport down.
mm.
So a lot of the highlight films and stuff like that, I edited personally and put it on YouTube to gain exposure quick because only people knew me for basketball. And then fortunately, I was picked up from New Mexico State, and they sat down in your living room and convinced you that that was the place I needed to go.
All right, so wait a minute, hold this backtrack. You created and edited your own YouTube video for highlights of your football
Yep.
practices and games and so forth. Is that
Yep.
right?
So that's right. So a lot of
Okay.
the guys up and coming right now, they use Max Preps to get a lot of the film and game film, and they forward the links to the coaches and to different training camps and different recruiters to Max Preps. But I already knew that that was such a new platform that in order for me to get a further reach and get exposure, I need to be on YouTube. And so that's what I did. I created a YouTube channel, did all my edits, spliced up spring ball. That's all that I had. I didn't have any real game materials. And then during the season, of course, I um, started to promote some of the games and some of the highlight reels from there. But to gain their attention at first, and for me to even come up on the radar, I definitely used the YouTube for spring camp.
Okay. All right. So you get to New Mexico State on a full ride to play
Mm-hmm.
football. Okay, and you had your freshman year. So then what happened after that?
Freshman year, I quickly realized that college football isn't just a game anymore. It's not for fun anymore. It's a business. And then I started doing a lot of the math of how much time I had invested in playing the sport. I was very much passionate for basketball. I wasn't really that passionate for football, but I also knew that NFL and NBA wasn't the only option. So I quickly did the math of how much time I was spending just training and watching film and not actually studying. And then I also, when I was sitting in a business class, I remember an article came up on YouTube's homepage. I'm sorry, Yahoo's homepage, and they kind of told us about the percentage of college graduates that were actually getting employed right out of college, and it was very low. This was 2012 at the time. So I looked around and saw I was in an auditorium sitting on the floor with 300 students. And I realized I was like, I'm competing against all these guys to get a job. So I need to get ahead. I need to figure out how to separate myself from the mass and get ahead of everybody else so that way I can always be prepared. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready kind of thing. So um, when I woke up one day after practicing and everything else, and I realized I was kind of like running on a treadmill as far as achieving my goals, that's when I made the decision. I said I have to figure it out. I have to go a different direction than this because it's not worth me beating up my body the mental strain, getting injuries and everything else. And then if I do get injured, I can get injured during, practice or even playing a college game. And then I'm still left trying to figure out the rest of my life from my 20s. Same with NBA and NFL. But the difference is that I knew the percentage of people that are actually making it to the next level was very slim anyway. So that's when I went ahead and made the decision to walk away.
Okay. So what was it like sitting across from your coach and letting them know that you weren't going to play anymore?
So I was young at the time. I really didn't have any experience with having tough conversations like that. I'm not a quitter by any means, so this was the first time I actually walked away for something. And I understand that to even get the opportunity and the gift to get a full ride in the first place was already, upper elite level, right? You have to pretty much be, 1% of the 1% to even get chosen like that. But I prayed on it, and God told me that I needed to go ahead and follow my passion that He had me. I put all my faith in Him, and I'm very happy that I did. I have zero regrets for the decision that I made.
Okay. All right. So what was your plan at that point then after, after
Mm-hmm.
you forfeited your scholarship? What was your plan?
So I already knew once you walk away from something like that, you really don't have a support system. Like not even the college, not the coaches, not your old teammates. They treated me as if I betrayed them. In
Mm,
reality, it was just me trying to figure my own life out because that's what I'm ultimately responsible for. Nobody's gonna come save you. So immediately I started getting the jobs. I worked as a club bouncer at night, and then got recruited with a sign-on bonus. I looked for jobs that gave you sign-on bonuses, so that way, even if it didn't work out, you at least had some type of cash in your pocket, and they paid you during the training. So I got recruited, believe it or not, to a call center at one point. I think it was DirecTV, and I know you're familiar with DirecTV. I'm familiar with DirecTV when I was growing up. The people watching are probably familiar with DirecTV, and so I quickly got trained pretty fast. I'm big into software and computers anyway, so all the different technology that they gave me, I was able to not only manage the calls and be efficient with that, but all the competition on the sales side, I was able to win that as well. So it's so crazy how fast everything happened. My entrepreneurial skill came in when you win the different competitions from DirecTV, they give you a lot of stuff. So they give you like Super Bowl remotes, with the different teams on them and stuff like that. And you get a chance to pick which remotes you wanted. So if you wanted San Francisco, if you want the Bears, such and such. So I'm not a gambler by any means, but I would definitely strategically pick the different teams that I felt that were going to win. And when I got those remotes, I quickly put them on eBay and sold them for a premium when they were on bidding. There people were bidding on them. So now DirecTV customers were bidding on eBay for these Super Bowl remotes because they wanted to add it to the collection. So that's also how I quickly gained a lot of entrepreneurial skills and talents as far as sales and marketing myself.
hmm. And so where'd you go after that? After
Uh, so
DirecTV?
So after DirecTV, AT&T reached out and they said, well, we see your stats, we see, you're efficient, you're not just going in. I've never been the type to just clock in and just go through the motions and then clock out. I was always trying to figure out how to separate myself even from the guys that I worked with before at the call centers. And I went to AT&T. That was not a long, that wasn't a long stay because I realized I don't want to go into this call center career. That's not what I was really passionate about. Everyone knows I'm passionate about cars. And at that point, I remember kept driving past this Nissan dealership that kept saying now hiring. So in my mind, I thought, okay, well, if I can continue to do my bouncer job at night, during the day, I can go to this dealership and be a lot porter, just transport cars. I just wanted to drive cars. And I did the math. I said I would make plenty of money between, and just let time do the legwork. The amount of time that I was spending just with film and studying, right? Film and watching film and then conditioning, I was able to translate that to $20 to $30 an hour. So
Hmm.
at that time, with no rent really, you got three roommates and no car note, that was some really good money at the time. But when I drove past the dealership and I walked in to do an interview with Mike Pierce, that was my next mentor. Mike Pierce was like, "Yeah, man, you don't need to be driving cars and being a lot porter. You need to actually help us sell cars."
Nah.
I never thought about selling cars before. But he said, "Don't worry, we're gonna train you and we're gonna give you a sign up bonus." I said, "All right, well, I'm gonna learn how to sell cars."
Well, I'm gonna interject right here and be the proud parent because you know, when you were a kid, you accumulated this humongous Hot Wheels
Oh yeah.
collection, and I used to mess with you when it was time for you to go to bed because you'd pull all these cars out and stuff, and I would take one and hide it and have it in the palm of my hand or something like that. And when you were putting your collection up, you could figure out exactly which one I had, and
Hmm.
you start looking for it, and I finally give it to you. And then when I used to drive you around, and you were in your car seat, still in diapers, basically. You used to run off the names of brands of cars and makes and models. And so when you called me from New Mexico to let me know that you had started working at a car dealership, do you remember that conversation? I
Yeah.
said, you're going to be just fine
Oh yeah.
because you have linked your passion, what you're passionate about, and monetized it. And so
Hmm.
when you have that combination come together, the money will take care of itself. So
Hmm.
continue.
That's well, I'm glad you said that because what a lot of people don't realize is they chase the money instead of chasing the passion. If
Right.
you chase the passion, the money will come.
There you go.
And if you can lock in on your passion and actually have a talent and have an edge, then money is not even. It becomes a point where money is irrelevant. You're really just trying to perfect your edge and make sure you're doing the right thing every day to continue to be happy because you're passionate about it.
Yeah, and
So.
when you told me that, I also told you, I said, figure out how to get into the F&I department. I
Mm-hmm.
said because if you get there, a decent one would make about $150,000. I said, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're a good one, you'll make 250 plus. And
Yeah.
so, what did you do?
So, man, again, this is going back to me being real blessed, right?
Right?
So, I did really, really good selling cars, and the pay plans back then in New Mexico were nowhere near as lucrative in Dallas. I knew the end goal was to come back to Dallas at the end of the day. Rather, I was still in the car industry selling cars, or if I was in finance, one way or another, I knew I wanted to come back here. So, I Michael Pierce was still my mentor in the car industry at Nissan, and I made it very clear to him after coming out of training and selling a few cars that I wanted to get into finance. Right, I was passionate about that as well, and I wanted to know a little bit more about it. I knew that I'm not going to say that I was too smart to sell cars, but I just felt like I wasn't being challenged enough.
Mm,
So he had me through the motions, and anybody in the car industry that sold cars before or that's in the upper management, I already know the process. Everybody wants to be in finance because they see the money. That's not really what I was chasing. I want to look like a professional. I want to be a professional for the dealership. And when I sold, I think I was averaging 15, 16 cars a month consistently. I was working on Sundays. It was a lot of hours, but I was committed. There was a big shift change. And that's what I want people to understand. When you're working at these jobs and you're trying to get to the next level, you got to understand sometimes it's not on your time, it's on divine time. And the timing is what really gave me the opportunity to get into my new career. And a lot of people left the dealership together because they were kind of intertwined with each other as friends, and it went to a different group, which left an open seat for me to get into finance. And one by one, a lot of the salespeople were following the managers to the other group,
mm,
and they were just, oh, he's my favorite, I'm leaving, I'm following him. But including Michael Pierce was the one that left. But the new manager came in, and his name was Johnny Patterson. And I got to give a shout out to him. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but I got to give him a shout out to him because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even have had the first chance in the first place.
mm.
So when everybody was leaving one by one, they were walking into the office, telling them, "Hey, I'm giving my 2 weeks, give my 2 weeks." Finally, came up to me, and me and Johnny were working together for a little bit. He said, "Let me guess, you're gonna leave?" And I'm a big believer of having a backup plan, right?
Mm.
Not ever having all your eggs in one basket. So I was actually going through the process of Border Patrol. And I already did the artificial language test, and everybody knows I'm absolutely horrible in Spanish. Somehow I was able to learn a different language on the spot and then pass a vocabulary test after it. That's what the artificial language test is for Border Patrol. And then also pass the conditioning test as well. So they were putting me through the process of Border Patrol, which starting salary was 85,000, and it caps out about 150 after the first couple of years. So when Johnny had me coming in the office, and I told him, I said, "Well, hey man, it's been 9 months. I haven't seen any progress in me getting into finance. if you don't make this move into finance, I'm not going to follow the other manager. I'm just going to go be a border patrol agent. And I showed him the results. I was like, I'm not lying. I'm not trying to put you in a hard. But you say, look, listen, save it. Don't worry about it. You start next week. And this is when sacrifice kicks in, because next week meant Thanksgiving week, and I haven't been home in forever. I mean,
Right.
I kind of like left college and just was trying to find my journey on my path. And I made the phone call to you and say, hey, good news and bad news. Good news is I got the promotion that I've always been wanting and working for. Bad news is I ain't coming home until maybe Christmas. And from there, I just locked in. After that, it was just like of course I was nervous. George Mason was my new mentor. He's out of Houston. Again, timing. He just started. He understood the business really, really well. He had a ton of experience in all kind of fields, not just finance, but he used to be a pilot. He used to be a sheriff. He used to be in the military. His kids were doctors. Like, he had experience in everything. So anybody that came into his office, it wasn't really about selling. What I learned, right? It wasn't about selling. It was being a rapport and relating to people. And that's what really took me to the next level in my career.
So I've heard you mention a couple of times the whole relationship of having a mentor. And so I really like the fact that you took advantage of and humbled yourself to be mentored. Is that really, really important to have
If you're
if
trying
you're
to get to
young in your
the
career?
if you're young in your career, I absolutely positively recommend a mentor. I've spent tons of money and just to hear mentors speak, and I've always benefited something. I might not have benefited everything that they might have spoke about, but if someone's already been through your journey and been through your career and they have an edge and they can tell you what to do, what not to do, and give you a set of rules so that way you don't make the same mistakes and you can quickly excel through all that, then why wouldn't you do it? The
Hmm.
problem though is finding a good mentor. There's so many distractions on social media, especially like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, there's TikTok. There's so many platforms for people to just get lost in the scrolling and see the cars and the watches and the jewelry that they can't really tell when people are genuine or not. Sometimes the best mentors are the most quiet ones. They
Mm.
don't speak to everybody. They actually pick you, and that's what happened to me. George Mason
Hmm.
picked me. Michael Pierce picked me. Even my current mentor, Pipsy, he got me into trading. He picked me as well. So a lot of times it's not about you paying somebody or you looking for them. It's about how you represent and how you show up every day for them to actually believe in you and spend the time to teach you what they know.
Okay. Let's fast forward things a little bit. So you got into F&I in New Mexico, and then you come back to Dallas, and doing it here.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in F&I right now?
10 years next month.
10
I was
years.
in I was in finance before I could drink.
Okay. All right. And okay. So right now you're doing F&I at a car dealership. What else do you do?
So I like to consider myself a serial entrepreneur. I kind of get my hands in everything. I had a rental car business for the last year. I'm a day trader during the mornings before I head into the office. And right now I'm currently building up my social media platform to kind of promote more educational content for people that are just now starting to seek interest in the market.
Okay. So you mentioned you're doing day trading right now. I
Mm-hmm.
see you got a Traders Village shirt on there. You want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about that?
Yeah, so Trader Village, a group of us, my current mentor and I wanted to put together a group for people that are wanting to seek information about the financial market, but they don't want to pay these gurus the thousands of dollars to go to Vegas and listen to them talk on stage. They kind of want to get straight to it. And so what I do is, and my mentor do is, we cut out all the fat, and just get right to what we see and how we manage our portfolios. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to trade. I'm not here saying that support and resistance or the other techniques that you guys might be familiar with, the MACD and the Scholastic Band. I'm not saying that any of that is wrong, but there's a certain way that we do it, and we really have an edge in the market, and we're willing to offer that to other people for free.
Hmm. So I want to backtrack just a little bit and mention something to the audience. When Faison was about 9 or 10 years old, I was very interested in the stock market myself and wanted to learn more about investing. And so I took him with me to a trading workshop. It was a Saturday afternoon, and he was the only kid in the audience for this instructor. And the instructor called us out because he commended me for bringing Faison to the class, to the workshop with me, because he said that he had taught his daughter at 8 years old how to analyze and trade stocks. So he commended me for bringing Faison there. And he was the only kid in the audience. And so that seed for investing was planted at that point. And then 20 years later now, it's bearing fruit. So let me ask you this, Faison. What you mentioned earlier that you trade before you go into work to your 9 to 5, and so that would be futures trading, correct?
So now I'm trading futures. This year I started the transformation. Um, a lot of people are familiar with Forex. That's really where I started off. I started off trading Euro USD, trading gold, trading oil, even US 30 and indices. But there's a lot of political stuff going on right now with US based traders and prop firms that pretty much give you capital to manage, and then also the different platforms that you use to trade those different commodities. So I went ahead and switched over to futures. Futures is called the gentleman's game of trading, and that's where I've been the last 4 months.
Okay. And so all right, so the last 4 months, so beginning of the year,
Mhm.
what has been your best day so far? How much, I mean, you don't have to be exact, but ballpark,
Mhm.
what's been your best day so far trading?
There it goes.
Hello?
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. It disconnected for a second. Can you repeat that?
Okay, let me ask again. So, what's been your best day so far trading?
Trading.
Yeah,
Futures or
futures this
Forex?
year in the
Okay, this
four
year.
months.
Uh, let's see. I've had So for the audience, when you're trading, you really don't pay attention to the money part. When you get to a certain level of, and I'm not trying to brag or anything like that, but when you get to a certain level of trading, you take so many trades, you really just try to see your entry. You followed your rules to get your entry, and then your ultimate TP is hit. Sometimes that could be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. My biggest day, I passed the challenge the other day. In a day, I think I totaled 6,000, and I
I'm
just
sorry,
posted
did
that.
you say $6,000?
Yeah, 6,000 in about 15 minutes. I think I just posted a video on YouTube actually.
Let me make sure the audience caught that because I want to make sure I caught that. You made $6,000 in 15 minutes.
hmm I think that was last Friday.
Okay. All right. All right. I might have to get into forex trading, futures trading rather. All right. So do you have to have a certain education level to learn how to trade?
No, actually, believe it or not, trading isn't about learning what you learn in books. Well, my way of trading, right? And then this might blow a lot of people's minds when I say this, right? A lot of Wall Street guys, a lot of hedge fund guys, a lot of people that have portfolios with all these big institutions, but the market is not ran by buying and selling pressure. It's actually ran by an algorithm. Okay, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but I studied this for the last 3 years, and my mentor and I, we even study specific times. I can pretty much tell you 15 to 30 minute window when a market is going to have increased volatility. And then after that, it's pretty much a game of probability, right, and risk
Mm.
management. So it's not about the money part. I let time do the legwork, and then starting this coming month, I've actually got funded. I think with my funded futures, I gotta look here, but I just passed my last certification, so we were funded. I think we're funded with about $250,000 of their capital to trade with. So starting next month, one of my biggest birthdays is gonna be a gift to myself, and it's gonna be a big payout from them. That's what I'm excited about.
Now, I know how old you are, but tell the audience, how old are you?
I turned 32 May 20th next month.
32 next month. Ooh
Yeah.
wee. Okay. So, all right. So basically what I'm hearing from you is that anybody can do this,
Anybody
right?
can do this. Anybody can trade.
Anybody can
Anybody
trade. Do you
anybody
need a
can
whole lot
trade.
of money?
Nope.
You
In
don't
fact,
need a,
my evaluations this month, it might end at the end of this month, but my evaluations for my account was only $50. So you can literally learn how to trade with not without money. You can learn on the chart on these platforms with paper or demo money, get the strategy down, get your edge down, learn yourself, learn risk management, pay a prop firm $50 to take their test, their evaluation test, and if you pass, they give you the capital to manage.
hmm, okay. All right. Now you started your own YouTube channel to have people follow you as you're trading live, right?
As I train live, and then I try to record my screen start to finish. So I press record when I get to my trading setup, and I just start from scratch. How I stretch out the charts, I flip through the different time frames, how I do my top down analysis. I have my correlating pairs. So right now I've been trading Nasdaq, and I'll look if anybody knows anything about indices, and there's a collection of stocks that are in there, and so I pick the highest market cap stock in the Nasdaq, which right now is your favorite, and that's Nvidia. And pretty much, Nvidia moves the market. If anybody goes and analyze the charts, go ahead and backtest. Tell me I'm wrong, but if you pull up even a 1 hour chart on Nvidia and then you put it side by side with Nasdaq, Nvidia does the move first, and then Nasdaq pretty much follows suit after that. That's all I do.
Huh. Okay. So, all right. So, Nvidia is king right now. So,
Nvidia
as
is king
as Nvidia goes, so goes the market,
right now
basically.
until they do their split, which
So
I
they
would
do their
imagine they'll
split.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on that too. I've got stock in Nvidia. Can't wait for that to happen. Okay. So, all right. This is the part of this segment that I'm going to get on my little soapbox here. And I'm talking to the parents. And parents, pay attention, especially parents of young children. Pay attention to what your child is showing interest in and then support that. Um, Faison was interested in cars, so that's why I could just tell because of his passion for cars as a little child that he was going to work at a dealership. The second thing I want parents to pull away from this is don't be afraid to expose your kid to different things. I took him uh, to that investment workshop or seminar when he was a kid, and it planted the seed, and now look at the fruit that is bearing for him. He just said he made $6,000 in 15 minutes. I mean, come on. So that is the kind of stuff, and all that started from a Saturday afternoon when he was 9, 10 years old. We have a financial literacy problem in this country, and you can't just blame it on the schools. Money management is not taught at the grade school level or high school level. It's touched a little bit really in college, but not to that extent, not to where it needs to be. So, but the responsibility is for parents to to educate themselves on money management and pass that on to your kids. It says in the good book, in the Bible, it says a man is supposed to leave an inheritance for his children's children. And a lot of people, equate that to money. And it doesn't necessarily mean money. It means in the Bible, it says wisdom is more precious than gold and fine silver. So it's the knowledge and wisdom that you pass on to your kids so that they can then pass it on to their kids. That's the uh, the inheritance that is speaking about. I've taught Faison the basics of investing, and he is taking it to another level. And then when he has kids, he's going to teach his kids about investing and wealth management. And guess what? That's called generational wealth. That's the blessing, is generational wealth. So with that, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. And Faison, I want to thank you for taking the time to tell the people your story. And I hope at the end of all this, people realize and understand when I said at the beginning that he is a success story. I raised him as a single parent, and he has made me very proud of him. I live my life through him right now, virtually. So At any rate, I want to thank you again for taking the time to speak to me. Now, you have a link to your uh, YouTube channel, right? So I'm going
Yep.
to put that in the description, okay? And so that people can kind of follow along with you. If you're interested in learning how to trade, I mean, he's an open book. He's going to show you, live what he is doing, and you have to, be able to follow along with him. You set up your brokerage account, and you have to. That's what they do, right? They set up a brokerage account, right?
Yep.
And then they can follow along with you and make money. So with that, I think I'm gonna close this out. And I want to thank you for joining me.
Thank you. That appreciate it.